Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that shapes not only our future as students, but the health of our society. Fact and fake. We live in a time when information is everywhere. With a few taps on a phone, we can access more data than past generations could in a lifetime. But here is the problem. When so much information flows so fast, how do we know what is true and what is false? A fact is something that can be checked. It is grounded in evidence. It can be confirmed by different sources, and it does not change just because our feelings change. A fake, on the other hand, is information that is false but often feels convincing. It spreads quickly, not because it is true, but because it touches our emotions, ear, anger, or excitement. Why does this matter? Because decisions based on fake information can have real consequences. Think about health. If someone believes false claims about medicine, they may refuse treatment and put themselves and others at risk. Think about the environment. If fake news convinces people that climate change is not real, then action is delayed and the damage grows. Even in daily life, a rumor can harm someone's reputation before the truth has time to catch up. But why do people believe fakes? One reason is that fakes are often easier to accept. They may match our desires or the opinions of our friends. Sharing a shocking story can even make us feel part of a group. But truth is not always easy or entertaining. Sometimes it is slow, complex, or uncomfortable. Yet it is truth that allows us to solve problems together. So what should we do as students? First, we should learn the habit of questioning. Before sharing a post or repeating a story, we can ask, where does this come from? Can I check it somewhere else? Who might benefit if I believe this? Second, we can practice responsibility. Each of us has power in the digital world. One careless share can spread falsehood to hundreds of people, but one careful choice can protect our community. In the end, the difference between fact and fake is not only about information, it is about trust. Trust in science, trust in democracy, and trust between friends. Without facts, trust breaks. With facts, we can build together. So my message is simple. Don't let fake steal your voice. Don't let it break the rhythm of our common life. Respect the truth, because respecting truth is respecting each other. Thank you.
All right, listeners, today we're dropping a set that cuts deeper than the base. The theme, fact versus fake. In the information age, truth and lies don't just sit quietly in books. They travel at light speed across screens, streams, and feeds. And the beat we're spinning tonight is about how to hear a signal beneath the noise. First track, what is a fact? A fact is not a feeling, not a rumor, not a meme. It's a claim that can be checked, verified, tested against reality. Think of it as the rhythm section of society, the steady drumbeat that keeps everything else in time. Without facts, the whole track falls apart. Now, drop the bass. What is fake? Fake information often comes dressed up, shiny and loud, designed to go viral. It may feel true because it taps emotion, fear, anger, excitement, but it doesn't stand up when you rewind the record and check the samples. Fake is the remix nobody asked for. But it still gets airtime because it's catchy. Here's the tension. In the digital world, fake often spreads faster than fact. A study showed false news travels farther and wider on social media than true news does. Why? Because fake stories are built like hooks. They shock, they trigger, they entertain. Facts, by contrast, can feel slow, cautious, even boring. And in a marketplace of attention, speed and novelty win more plays than accuracy. But let us pause. Philosophy asks, if truth can be drowned by noise, what does it mean to live in a society where shared facts are no longer shared? Without agreement on facts, debate collapses. Democracy turns into a clash of tribes, each dancing to its own beat. That's not just politics. That's identity. Next up, the emotional pull. People often believe what feels right rather than what is true. It's like the crowd chanting a lyric even when the line is wrong. The music of emotion drowns the precision of fact. This isn't new. Propaganda has always worked this way, but in the age of memes, the scale is global. So how do we tune our ears back to fact? Think of fact-checking as crate digging. You don't just take the first beat you hear, you go back to the source. You ask, where did this sample come from? Is it authentic? Does it hold up under scrutiny? A critical mind is the DJ's filter that cuts the noise and lets the clean signal through. And let us not forget, fake is not always malicious. Sometimes it's misunderstanding, misremembering, or misinterpreting. But other times, fake is deliberate, made to manipulate, to polarize, to sell. In those cases, fake becomes more than noise. It's poison in a well. Now, here's the twist. Even when we expose the fake, it doesn't always fade. People cling to stories because they fit a worldview. They provide comfort, or they reinforce group identity. Once a fake track hits the charts of belief, it's hard to pull it down. That means the fight for fact is not just technical, but it's cultural, emotional, moral. So what do? Start small. Question before you share. Ask yourself, does this claim come from a credible source? Could it be verified? Does it explain more than it excites? Treat information like a track. You wouldn't blast it on the main stage without checking if it's in key. Final drop. Fact is the backbone of freedom. Without fact, justice loses ground, science loses trust, and communities lose cohesion. Fake may get the crowd moving for a moment, but fact is the only rhythm that can carry us into the future without chaos. So as you leave this set, remember, in a world where every voice has a mic, your choice of what to amplify matters. Facts keep the beat steady. Fakes distort the sound. Be the DJ that knows when to cut the noise and let the truth drop clean. That's today's track. Protect your ears, protect your mind, and keep the groove aligned with reality. The beat of truth is subtle but strong. If you listen, you...
When we talk about facts and fakes, we are not only speaking about data, headlines, or memes. We are engaging in a fundamental question of democracy. Can we deliberate together if we cannot agree on what is true? And beyond politics, there is a deeper moral concern. What does it mean to respect others if we cannot respect the truth itself? Let us begin with the obvious but troubling condition of our age. Never before have we had access to so much information. Yet never before has it been so difficult to separate the true from the false. The internet promised to democratize knowledge, to make truth accessible to all, and in some ways it did. But it also gave rise to a flood of misinformation, conspiracy theories, and fabrications that travel with a speed and reach the human imagination was never prepared to confront. Now, imagine two societies. In the first, people may disagree about policies, values, or visions of the good life, but they share a common set of facts. They argue, they vote, they deliberate. In the second, people live in echo chambers, each group convinced of its own truth, suspicious of all others. Debate here is not possible. Because the ground beneath it, shared facts, has crumbled. Which of these societies can sustain democracy? Which of these can sustain even friendship? Philosophy reminds us that this problem is not entirely new. Plato worried that rhetoric, the art of persuasion, could be more powerful than truth. In his dialogues, he warned of sophists who could make the weaker argument appear stronger. Today, the algorithms of social media are the sophists of our time. They reward not what is true, but what is clickable, viral, enraging, or comforting. They exploit not our rational faculties, but our emotional susceptibilities. This raises a moral question. Is it enough to say that individuals should be more careful? That we should all fact-check more diligently? Or does the structure of our digital world create temptations so powerful that personal responsibility alone cannot suffice? If a platform profits by promoting outrage, is the blame only on the user who shares? Or should we ask about the ethics of design, the morality of systems? Consider the role of fake news in public health. During the COVID-19 pandemic, misinformation about vaccines spread faster than the virus itself. Some of it was born of confusion, but much of it was deliberate, designed to sow distrust, to weaken institutions, or to sell products. The consequences were not only personal, but collective. When one person refused vaccination based on fake information, It was not only their own health at risk, but the health of the community. The question became, do we have the right to believe whatever we wish if our belief puts others in danger? This points us to a larger principle. Freedom of speech is precious, but freedom without responsibility can corrode the very conditions of its possibility. If every voice is amplified equally, without regard for truth, the public square becomes noise, and noise is the enemy of deliberation. John Stuart Mill defended free speech because truth would triumph in open debate. But what if the mechanisms of attention are rigged so that lies spread faster than truth? Can Mill faith still hold? Let's take an example from politics. Suppose a candidate wins an election based on a claim that is demonstrably false. The votes are counted, the process is legal, but the foundation truth is missing. Is the result still legitimate? Here we see the paradox. Democracy depends not only on the will of the people, but on the epistemic health of the people. A democracy drowning in fakes is like an orchestra without tuning. Everyone plays, but no harmony is possible. Now, let us shift to the personal level. Why do people believe falsehoods, even when presented with facts? Partly because truth is not only about cognition, but about identity. A false story can resonate with a person's sense of belonging, pride, or grievance. To challenge it feels not like correcting a mistake, but like attacking a self. This means that fighting fake news is not only a matter of providing more facts. It requires understanding the human need for meaning, community, and recognition. This, too, is where philosophy enters. Philosophy does not only ask, what is true? It asks, why do we believe? And what should we value? If we see that facts are fragile in the marketplace of attention, philosophy challenges us to strengthen the moral practices that sustain them. Honesty, humility, willingness to listen. These are not only virtues for individuals but conditions for collective truth. What then should be done? Some argue for stricter regulation of platforms to curb the spread of fakes. Others warn that this risks censorship, the concentration of power over speech. Here lies a real dilemma. To protect truth without undermining freedom. There is no simple formula. But perhaps we can agree on this. The health of a society depends on cultivating citizens who not only demand their rights, but also accept their responsibilities. The responsibility to pause before sharing, to test before trusting. To recognize that amplifying a lie is not a neutral act, it is a harm inflicted on the common good. So here is the challenge I leave you with. When you encounter a claim, whether in politics, health, or everyday life, ask 3 questions. What evidence supports it? Who benefits if I believe it? What harm could follow if it is false? These questions are not infallible, but they cultivate the habits of democratic citizenship. They remind us that truth is not only about information, it is about justice. As we reflect on fact and fake, let us remember, the struggle for truth is not new, but the stakes are higher than ever. In a world where lies can circle the globe in seconds, truth requires not only courage but community. We must decide whether to be passive consumers of noise or active stewards of truth. The choice is ours, but the consequences belong to all.